The morning chaos at the Southampton Boat Show hit like a rogue wave. The luxury motor yacht Stan Sleek, gleaming, all polished teak and chroma, was already buzzing with early VIP arrivals, mostly sharp-suited Swiss bankers and impeccably robed Arab businessmen in their 40s and 50s, the kind who dropped 7 figures on a whim without blinking. The company's 2 stand hostesses were meant to be the eye-catching welcome, poised, smiling, legs for days in the branded uniform that had been carefully chosen to turn heads without crossing into outright tacky. The uniform was classic promotional glamour for this kind of high-end marine event, a fitted white blouse with the company logo embroidered subtly on the chest, left unbuttoned just enough to hint at cleavage, paired with a very short navy-pleated miniskirt that barely skimmed mid-thigh, sheer black tights, and glossy black patent stiletto heels 4 inches, at least to give that long, elegant leg line. Accessories were minimal but deliberate: a slim black choker, small hoop earrings, and hair styled loose and glossy. The look screamed approachable luxury with just the right edge of allure. Alice, the 19-year-old daughter of the yard owner, had been ready since dawn hair perfect, makeup flawless, skirt riding high as she practiced her welcoming smile in the mirror. But then the call came. The agency model had been T-boned in traffic on the M27. Broken ankle, mild concussion, no way she was walking, let alone today. Her father, red-faced and pacing, scanned the stand like a man looking for a life raft. His eyes landed on Tom. Tom, the 18-year-old apprentice slim as a whip, barely 5'6", delicate features, longish dark hair he usually tied back under a cap, no facial hair to speak of, yet was busy polishing chrome railings in his usual yard overalls. "You," the boss barked, pointing. "Get over here. Emergency. You're up." Tom blinked. "Me? But..." "No buts. We've got no one else. Alice'll sort you. Move." Alice practically squealed with delight. "Oh my God, this is going to be hilarious. Come on, Tommy time to meet your new self." She dragged him into the small curtain-changing area behind the stand, already unzipping the spare uniform bag. Tom protested weakly the whole time. "This is insane. Mr. Hargrove can't be serious," but the boss's glare from outside silenced him fast. Alice worked fast and mercilessly. First, she made him strip down to his boxers. "With those 2, we need a smooth line." A quick tuck with some medical tape she'd grabbed from the first aid kit, then silky black lace panties that hugged his slim hips. She rolled the sheer tights up his smooth, hairless legs. He'd always been baby-faced and barely needed to shave. Sexy, frilly black knickers came next. Then the miniskirt, snug around his narrow waist, the hem flirting dangerously high. The blouse was tucked in tight, the top buttons left open to create a soft shadow of cleavage thanks to a lightly padded bra Alice, stuffed with the silicone inserts she had bought as a teenager, when she was ashamed of how her breasts had been slow to develop. Makeup was where she really went to town. Foundation to even his skin, contouring to soften and feminize his jawline, smoky eyes with long false lashes, rosy blush, glossy pink lips that looked bee-stung. She fastened on a long dark hair wig, brushed it into loose waves, and spritzed everything with perfume that smelled like expensive vanilla and sea salt. A handbag followed a Chanel bag on a gold chain, hung over his shoulder. When she finally spun him around to the full-length mirror they'd propped up, Tom's jaw dropped. He knew she looked stunning, convincingly female. The slim figure, the long legs elongated by the heels, the miniskirt showing just enough toned thigh to catch the eye, the blouse clinging in all the right places. Even the walk after a few wobbly practice steps in the stilettos started to look natural. Hips swaying slightly as Alice coached him. "Smaller steps, honey. Roll your hips. Smile like you own the place." Alice stepped back, grinning ear to ear. "You know what? You're hotter than the model was going to be. Dad's going to lose his mind in a good way." Tom, now Tammy for the day, as Alice insisted, stared at his reflection, cheeks burning under the makeup. "I can't do this. They'll know. I'll sound like..." "You'll sound fine," Alice cut in, pressing a hand to his padded chest. "Voice up a little, softer, breathy. Practice. Hello. Welcome to our stand. Can I show you our new 72-foot flybridge?" He repeated it. It came out higher, softer, almost sultry. Alice clapped. "Perfect. Now come on, those Swiss guys are already circling like sharks." She pulled back the curtain. Tom Tammy stepped out on trembling heels, miniskirt swishing, heart hammering. The boss stared for a long second, then gave a slow nod. "Bloody hell. You'll do. Just smile, nod, offer champagne, point at the boats, and don't talk too much. Alice, stay close cover for her if needed. The first group of clients approached, 3 middle-aged men in tailored blazers, one with a Rolex that could buy a small car, another in flowing white robes. Their eyes flicked immediately to the 2 girls on the stand. Alice stepped forward with effortless charm. Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome aboard our showcase. I'm Alice, and this is my colleague Tammy. We'd love to tell you about our flagship model. Tammy forced a bright smile, legs slightly apart for balance in the heels, hands clasped demurely in front. The men's gazes lingered on the legs, the skirt, the smile. One of the Swiss leaned in slightly. Very welcoming stand you have here. Tammy swallowed, pitched his voice up. Thank you. Can I offer you a glass of champagne while we talk specs? The man smiled wider. I'd like that very much, Tammy. As Alice smoothly launched into the sales patter, Tammy balanced trays, poured drinks, and posed beside the gleaming hulls, every movement calculated now, every glance practiced. The joke had become something else entirely. By midday, the stand was packed. Phones were out for discreet photos. Compliments flowed like the champagne. And Tom, trapped in heels and lace, realized with a mix of horror and strange thrill that he was pulling it off better than anyone expected. Alice caught his eye during a quiet moment. Whispering told you, "You're a natural. Enjoy it while it lasts, princess." Tammy just smoothed his skirt, adjusted a stocking, and turned another dazzling smile toward the next approaching client. The show had only just begun. The afternoon sun slanted across the Mayflower Park quayside, turning the water into a sheet of hammered silver and making every chrome fitting on the luxury yachts gleam like they were freshly minted. The Southampton International Boat Show was in full swing, now crowds thicker, voices louder, champagne flowing faster. The luxury motor yacht company's stand had become one of the hottest spots on the site, thanks in no small part to the 2 glamorous hostesses working it. Alice moved like she owned the place, effortlessly charming a cluster of Swiss private bankers with talk of fuel efficiency and custom teak decks, her miniskirt flipping playfully as she gestured toward the 85-foot flagship model raised on blocks behind them. Beside her, Tammy Still Tom, underneath the flawless facade, had settled into a rhythm that surprised even her. The initial terror had dulled into a strange, buzzing focus. Smile, paw, pose, deflect personal questions with light laughter and redirects to the boats. The heels still pinched, the tights tugged slightly with every step, but the sway of the short navy-pleated skirt felt almost natural now. A new group approached 4 Arab gentlemen in crisp thobes and expensive watches, accompanied by a sharply dressed interpreter. Their eyes lit up the moment they spotted the stand. One, a broad-shouldered man in his late 40s with a neatly trimmed beard, zeroed in on Tammy immediately. "Marhaba," he said smoothly, his gaze travelling appreciatively from her glossy waves down to the endless legs in the sheer black tights and high heels. Such beautiful hospitality. "May we have the pleasure of a tour?" Alice jumped in smoothly. "Of course. Tammy here will take your details and then the sales staff will show you over the boat. Us girls can't go on board in our heels. We might mark the teak, but surely you lovely ladies can change into deck shoes?" Inquired the Arab. "We'd very much appreciate a personal showing of the yachts." "Yes, we can," Alice laughed. "Just let us Tammy here slip her heels off and she will take you through the main salon and flybridge. She's our specialist on the interior finishes." Tammy swallowed, pitched her voice into that practiced breathy register. "Right this way, gentlemen. Would you like champagne first or shall we go straight up?" They opted for both. She led them up the portable steps to the aft deck, acutely aware of every eye following the swing of her hips and rear. The skirt rode up dangerously as she climbed. She tugged it down discreetly, feeling the cool air on her tighted and pantied bottom. One of the men murmured something appreciative in Arabic. The interpreter chuckled and translated only half of it. Inside the salon, Tammy gestured to the cream leather sofas, the walnut panelling, the massive touchscreen helm. The owner's suite is forward king-size bed, en suite with jacuzzi, fully customizable of course. The bearded man stepped closer than necessary, inhaling the vanilla sea salt perfume Alice had spritzed on her. "And you, Tammy? Are you part of the customization package?" His friends laughed politely. She forced a playful smile, heart racing. "I'm just here to make sure you fall in love with the boat, sir. The rest? Well, that's between you and the sales team." They lingered longer than needed, asking detailed questions she mostly fielded by repeating specs Alice had drilled into her. or by turning them back with "let me show you the aft sun pad perfect for relaxing." Every time she bent slightly to point something out, the miniskirt strained, and she could feel their attention like heat lamps. Back on the main deck, things escalated. A photographer from one of the yachting magazines approached, camera already raised. "Mind if I get a few shots of the hostesses with the new model? You two are stealing the show." Alice grinned wickedly. "Go for it. Tammy, hop up on the swim platform, edge cross your legs, give them that killer smile." Tammy obeyed, perching carefully on the raised edge, one leg dangling, skirt hiked just enough to show tights-clad thighs without revealing too much. The photographer snapped away, her leaning against the hull, hand on hip, both girls flanking the bow, arms linked, Tammy alone, looking coyly over her shoulder toward the stern. Flash after flash. A small crowd gathered, phones discreetly recording. She caught snippets as she knew, never seen her before stunning, and felt a flush creep up her neck that had nothing to do with embarrassment anymore. By late afternoon, the stand was mobbed. A wealthy Swiss couple wanted photos with the lovely ladies. An older Emirati gentleman pressed a thick business card into Tammy's hand with a murmured "call me, if you're ever in Dubai we have private viewings." Alice intercepted most of the bolder flirtations, but a few slipped through, a hand brushing Tammy's arm accidentally, compliments on her legs that made her want to bolt and preen at the same time. During a rare lull around 4 p.m, Alice pulled her behind the curtain for a quick touch-up. Lip gloss reapplied, a stray false lash fixed, skirt smoothed down. "You're killing it out there," Alice whispered, eyes sparkling. "Half these guys are ready to sign just to get your number. Dad's over the moon says we've got 3 serious inquiries already." Tammy stared at her reflection, again flushed cheeks, glossy lips, the blouse clinging slightly from the warmth of the day. "This is mad. My feet are killing me. And I think that last guy wanted to buy the boat and me." Alice laughed softly. "Welcome to the glamour life, princess. Few more hours, then we escape. But admit it, you're enjoying the attention a little." Tammy hesitated, then gave a tiny shrug. "Maybe. A bit. Don't tell your dad. Secret's safe." Alice adjusted Tammy's choker. "Now come on, VIP cocktail hour starts soon. More champagne, more billionaires, more chances to close deals. You've got this." They stepped back out into the golden late afternoon light. The crowd parted slightly as the 2 mini-skirted hostesses reappeared, heels clicking in unison. Eyes turned, conversations paused, and Tammy, pulse thrumming with adrenaline and something dangerously close to thrill, lifted her chin, flashed that dazzling practice smile, and dove back into the role. As the afternoon light faded into a soft golden haze over Southampton water, the VIP cocktail hour kicked off on the company's flagship 85-footer, now transformed into a floating lounge for the event's most exclusive guests. The deck had been cleared of daytime clutter. The boatyard workers had laid a temporary plywood deck covering over the stern deck, so the ladies' high heels didn't mark it. Low glass tables were scattered with Knapp's caviar blyness, lobster rolls, truffle arancini, while a bartender in crisp whites mixed signature martinis and poured chilled Veuve Clicquot from magnums. Soft jazz drifted from hidden speakers, and fairy lights began to twinkle along the rails as the sun dipped lower. The stand's 2 hostesses were the undisputed stars. Alice, confident and teasing, worked the crowd with effortless banter, her miniskirt swishing as she laughed at a Swiss hedge fund manager's joke about offshore assets. Tammy, however, had become the quiet magnet, every glance, every subtle movement, drawing eyes like moths to flame. She circulated with a silver tray of champagne flutes, heels clicking delicately on the teak deck, the short navy-pleated skirt riding up just enough with each step to show a bit of nyloned thigh. The padded bra and tucked silhouette gave her a convincingly feminine curve, and the loose waves of dark hair framed a face that, thanks to Alice's expert makeup, looked every inch the glamorous hostess. A cluster of VIPs formed around her almost immediately. 2 Emirati businessmen in tailored suits and subtle gold cufflinks accepted glasses from her tray, their smiles lingering. "Tammy, was it?" one asked, voice low and appreciative. "You make this yacht feel even more inviting." She tilted her head, practicing that breathy tone. "Thank you, sir. It's all about the details." One man stepped closer, offering her a flute from his own hand. "You must join us for a drink. A hostess should enjoy the party too." Tammy hesitated. Rules were to stay professional, but Alice caught her eye from below and gave a subtle nod. Go with it. She accepted the glass, sipping delicately, lips leaving a faint pink gloss print on the rim. The conversation flowed. Yacht specs turned to travel stories, then to compliments that grew bolder. Such elegance, one murmured. Those legs in those heels, extraordinary. She laughed softly, crossing one ankle over the other in a pose that elongated her already impressive silhouette. Things heated up further. A photographer from Yachting World wanted more shots the girls with the clients. Natural smiles, champagne in hand. Tammy found herself posed between two Swiss bankers, one arm lightly around her waist for the photo. The contact sent a jolt through her warm hand on the small of her back, the faint scent of expensive cologne. She smiled wider, playing the part, feeling the skirt strain against her thighs as she leaned in. A third man, an older Arab gentleman with a quiet intensity, pulled her aside near the bar. I must say, Tammy, you stand out. If you're ever looking for private work events on my yacht in Monaco, perhaps we pay very well for discretion and beauty. He slipped a thick embossed card into her palm, fingers brushing hers longer than necessary. Tammy tucked it into her handbag, murmuring thanks and redirecting to the boat's gyro-stabilized system. By the time the sky turned deep indigo, the deck was alive with laughter and clinking glasses. Alice pulled Tammy behind a stack of cushions for a quick breather. You're a bloody legend, Alice whispered, reapplying gloss to Tammy's lips with a quick swipe. That Monaco guy? Dad just closed a verbal on the 85 with his associate. They loved the personal touch. Your touch. Tammy's cheeks burned under the makeup part exhaustion, part something electric. Her feet throbbed in the stilettos, the tights tugged with every movement, but the attention, it was intoxicating. I feel like I'm in a dream, or a nightmare. Not sure which. Alice grinned. Dream, definitely. Look at you owning it. She tugged Tammy back out. The final highlight came when the DJ switched to something sultry and upbeat. A few guests started dancing on the open deck nothing wild, just swaying with drinks in hand. One of the Emirati men extended a hand to Tammy. A dance? For luck on the deal. She glanced at Alice, who mouthed do it. Taking his hand, Tammy let him lead her into a slow, close sway, his hand respectful, but firm on her waist, her free hand on his shoulder. The miniskirt flared slightly with the movement, heels forcing her to move in small, graceful steps. Heads turned, phones discreetly captured the moment. She felt exposed, desired, powerful all at once. As the song ended, he bowed slightly. Thank you, beautiful Tammy. You've made this evening unforgettable. The cocktail hour wound down with handshakes, business cards exchanged, and promises of follow-up viewings. Tammy's tray was empty, her smile fixed, but inside the adrenaline still raced. As the last guests disembarked under the marina lights, Alice linked arms with her. Come on, princess. You've earned a break, and maybe a story no one will ever believe. Tammy heels aching, skirt still scandalously short, heart pounding followed her off the yacht, the night air cool on bare thighs, wondering just how much deeper this joke could go. The next morning, at the Southampton boat show, dawned crisp and bright, but the atmosphere on the luxury motor yacht stand felt charged from the night before like static electricity, waiting for a spark. The boss had been crystal clear over a hurried breakfast huddle. The model was still out, inquiries were pouring in, and the stand needed its star attractions to keep the momentum going right through to closing on Sunday. That meant Tammy stayed Tammy. No overalls, no escape. Full uniform, full makeup, full performance for the entire remaining 4 days of the show. Tom/Tammy stared at his reflection in the tiny mirror of the changing cubicle, heart thudding. The navy-pleated miniskirt still felt obscenely short, the sheer black tights silky against skin that had been painstakingly shaved smooth again that morning. The 4-inch patent stilettos already pinching in anticipation. Alice had refreshed everything. New false lashes, bolder lip colour, lassie deep rose that made the lips look even more inviting, and a spritz of that addictive vanilla sea salt perfume. The padded bra gave just the right subtle curve under the fitted white blouse, top buttons undone to tease without screaming. You look even better today, Alice said, adjusting Tammy's choker with a wicked grin. The exhaustion from last night gives you this sultry, just rolled out of bed vibe. They're going to eat it up. Tammy swallowed. I can barely walk after yesterday. And after last night. The memory of the Monaco man's torn card, his lingering gaze, the Emirati's low hand on her back during that dance, it all rushed back in a hot wave. Alice squeezed her arm. Stick close. We've got this. But heads up the stand next door? Those guys are trouble in the best way. The neighbouring exhibit belonged to a rival high-end builder-sleek sportfishers and open-bridge cruisers aimed at the same wealthy clientele. Their sales team was younger, hungrier, and undeniably good-looking. 3 tall, broad-shouldered men in sharp navy blazers over white shirts, no ties, sleeves rolled to show tanned forearms and expensive watches. They moved with the easy confidence of men who spent half their lives on boats and the other half closing multi-million-pound deals. The leader, a dark-haired 30-something named Jake, with a jawline that could cut glass and a perpetual half-smile, had already been eyeing their stand since setup. As the gates opened and the first wave of visitors trickled in, the crossover began almost immediately. Jake sauntered over during a quiet moment, coffee in hand, eyes flicking appreciatively between Alice and Tammy. "Morning, ladies. Heard you two stole the show last night. Our stand's been dead quiet, everyone's over here, asking for the girls in the short skirts." Alice laughed, tossing her hair. "Flattery will get you everywhere, Jake. But we're loyal to our boats." His gaze settled on Tammy, slow and deliberate. "And you, Tammy, right? You were the talk of the VIP deck. That dance? Legendary." Tammy felt heat flood her cheeks under the makeup. She forced a smile, voice pitched soft and breathy. "Just doing my job." Jake leaned against their display rail, close enough that she caught the faint scent of salt air and expensive aftershave. "Job looks good on you." His eyes dropped briefly to her legs crossed, demurely, one stiletto dangling and back up. "If you ever get bored of champagne duty, we've got a simulator set up next door. Private demo. Just you, me, and a virtual helm. No pressure." Before Tammy could stammer a reply, one of Jake's colleagues, blonde, built like he rode competitively, name tag reading Max, joined them, carrying a tray of fresh pastries from the hospitality tent. "Thought you girls might need fuel. Long day ahead." He offered the tray directly to Tammy first, his smile boyish, but his eyes anything but innocent. "You must burn a lot of calories in those heels." Tammy took a croissant, fingers brushing his. The contact sent a small, unexpected spark up her arm. "Thanks, Max." The third salesman, a quieter type named Liam with close-cropped dark hair and sleeves rolled higher to show intricate forearm tattoos peeking out, hung back but watched intently. When Alice stepped away to greet a client, he moved in smoothly. "Need a hand with anything?" he asked Tammy, voice low. "It must be tricky in heels. I could steady you." Tammy's pulse raced. She was acutely aware of every inch of exposed leg, the way the miniskirt shifted when she moved, the subtle tug of the tights. I think I've got it, but thank you." Liam's lips curved. Offer stands. All day. The morning blurred into a dangerous flirtation ballet. Jake kept finding excuses to cross the invisible line between stands borrowing a brochure, comparing specs, asking for a second opinion from the prettiest eyes here. Max popped over with water bottles, can't have you fainting in this heat, lingering to chat about nothing while his gaze traced the line of her tights. Liam was subtler silent support, a steadying hand when she wobbled on the portable steps, fingers brushing the small of her back longer than necessary. Alice noticed everything. During a brief lull, she pulled Tammy behind the curtain. "They're circling like sharks. Jake wants you on his stand. Max is basically drooling. Liam's playing the strong, silent type, but he's watching your every move." Tammy pressed her thighs together, trying to ignore the confusing heat building low in her belly. "This is insane. I'm not even a girl?" Alice finished, eyes sparkling. "Tell that to them, or to yourself, because right now, you're the hottest thing at this show, and they're eating out of your hand." Jake stepped close, murmuring, "After close tonight, drinks? All of us. No stands, no clients, just fun." Tammy's mouth went dry. Alice appeared at her side like magic, arm linking through hers. "Tempting, boys, but we've got plans. Maybe tomorrow if you're good." The salesman groaned theatrically, but their smiles said they'd be back. All day. As the crowds thickened again, Tammy felt the weight of their attention like a physical thing, hot, insistent, thrilling. Every glance from next door, every casual visit, every brushed hand or lingering look ratcheted the tension higher. And deep down, beneath the panic and the pretense, a small, reckless part of her didn't want the day to end. The show still had hours to go. And the hunky salesmen next door weren't going anywhere. The afternoon of the second day at the Southampton Boat Show was winding down when the yard owner Mr. Hargrove beckoned Alice into the small portakabin office tucked behind the stand. The door clicked shut behind her, muffling the distant hum of crowds and the occasional rev of an outboard engine on demo. Alice perched on the edge of the cluttered desk, legs crossed so her navy-pleated miniskirt rode high on her thighs. Her father looked tired but oddly energized, the way he always did when a plan was forming. "Sit down properly, love," he said, then didn't wait. "Just had a call from Sarah. She's handed in her notice effective immediately. Her bloke's being posted to Cyprus with the army next month. She's going with him. Packing up tomorrow." Alice's eyebrows shot up, then she burst into a delighted giggle, clapping her hands once. "Oh no, poor Sarah. But there's always Tammy to replace her." She said it lightly, teasingly, eyes sparkling with mischief. Mr. Hargrove didn't laugh. He leaned back in his creaky chair, rubbed his chin, and stared at the ceiling for 3 long seconds. Then he nodded slowly. "That's actually not a bad shout." Alice's giggle died in her throat. "Dad, you're serious?" "Deadly. The office has been chaos since we lost the last temp. Phones ringing off the hook, invoices piling up, clients wanting quotes yesterday. Sarah was the only one who could keep it all straight. And after the last 2 days," he gestured vaguely toward the stand outside. "Tammy's proven she can handle pressure. Looks the part, sounds the part. And let's be honest, the clients love her. Walk-ins have tripled since she started fronting the reception desk yesterday afternoon." Alice opened her mouth, closed it, then grinned wider than ever. "You want Tammy to be the new receptionist. Full-time. Mini-skirted, high-heeled, answering phones and greeting clients at the yard office. Exactly. At least until we find someone permanent. Could be weeks. Could be a couple of months. Sarah's got 2 weeks' notice, but she's already half gone mentally. We need continuity. And continuity right now looks like long legs, short skirts, and a smile that closes deals." He stood up, opened the door, and called out, "Tammy, in here please." Tammy still every inch the glamorous stand hostess clicked carefully across the short distance in her 4-inch patent stilettos, navy-pleated miniskirt swishing, glossy dark waves bouncing with each step. She stepped inside, closed the door behind her, and stood with hands clasped demurely in front, the very picture of poised femininity. Only the faint flush on her made-up cheeks betrayed the nerves. Mr. Hargrove looked her up and down not lasciviously, but appraisingly, like he was inspecting a new hull for stress fractures. "You've done brilliantly these last 2 days, Tammy. Better than brilliantly. The stand's been mobbed, inquiries are through the roof, and half the buyers are asking after you by name. So here's the situation." He explained it all again, Sarah's notice, the Cyprus posting, the gaping hole in the front office. Then, the proposal. "You'll keep the role, permanently, for now. Receptionist and secretary at the yard. Greeting clients, answering calls, filing, basic admin, making coffee when needed. Same look, same standard. We're not toning it down. The clients respond to it, especially the overseas ones. You'll be the first face they see when they walk through the gate." Tammy's glossy lips parted, but no sound came out at first. Mr. Hargrove continued, brisk and businesslike. "Alice will take you shopping this evening, after we close the stand. Everything you need. Undergarments, proper ones. Lace if possible. Good support. Tights or stockings, whichever you prefer, but always sheer and elegant. Dresses and skirts for the office, make sure they're minis. Knee above, preferably well above. Blouses that show just enough. And heels. Minimum 3 inches 4 if you can manage them. You've handled 4 today. You'll manage. We'll expense it all. Consider it uniform allowance." He paused, softening just a fraction. "Look, lad, I know this started as a 1-day fix, but you're good at it. Really good. And right now the business needs you. Not Tom. Tammy. Think you can keep it up a bit longer?" Tammy's hands twisted together in front of her. The room felt suddenly too small, the air too warm. Her mind flashed to the last 2 days, the constant scrutiny, the compliments that landed like sparks on dry tinder, the way Jake, Max and Liam from the next stand had looked at her like she was the only thing worth seeing on the entire showground. The dangerous thrill of it, the fear, the strange, growing ease. She glanced at Alice. Alice was watching her with an unreadable expression, half amusement, half something softer, almost protective. Tammy took a slow breath, feeling the tug of the garter belt, the pinch of the heels, the soft brush of sheer nylon against her thighs. Then, in that breathy, practiced voice that had become second nature, "Yes, Mr. Hargrove. I can do that." The yard owner exhaled, visibly relieved. "Good girl. Alice take her straight after we shut down tonight. Get her kitted out properly. Tomorrow morning, Tammy reports to the yard office at 8 sharp. New uniform, new routine. We'll sort out the paperwork, later call it a temporary contract, backdated if we have to. He clapped his hands once. Right. Back to work, both of you. Show's not over yet. Alice linked her arm through Tammy's as they stepped back outside into the late afternoon bustle. Shopping spree on the company card, Alice whispered, voice bubbling with glee. Lingerie first, I know, just the place. Then skirts, short ones, and heels that'll make your legs look endless. Tammy's stomach flipped nerves, anticipation, something hotter and more confusing swirling underneath. As they walked back toward the stand, Jake from next door caught sight of them and raised his coffee cup in salute, his grin slow and knowing. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, Tammy, he called. Tammy managed a small, coy wave. Alice leaned in close. Buckle up, princess. The yard office is about to get a whole lot more interesting. And somewhere beneath the makeup, the miniskirt, and the 4-inch heels, Tom felt the last thin thread of resistance snap. Tammy was staying. For a while. Maybe longer than anyone expected. The show gates closed at 6 p.m. sharp on that second day. The September evening chill already creeping in off the Solent as the last stragglers drifted toward the car parks. Tammy still in the navy-pleated miniskirt, sheer tights, and 4-inch stilettos that had become her second skin felt every aching step as Alice hustled her toward the staff exit. Come on, princess, Alice said, linking arms and steering her toward the car. Dad's card is burning a hole in my pocket, and we've got serious work to do. First stop, beauty, then shopping. No half measures. They drove straight to a sleek, upscale salon in the city centre, glass-fronted, softly lit, the kind of place that smelled like expensive candles and charged accordingly. Alice had booked ahead, full set of ceramic nails and premium Russian lash extensions. Dad said make it permanent-ish, she explained with a wink. You're the face of the office now. Might as well look the part. Tammy sat in the plush reclining chair first for the lashes. The technician calm, precise taped down her lower lashes, applied a protective pad, and began the meticulous work. One tiny synthetic lash glued to each natural one with medical-grade adhesive. Tammy lay perfectly still, eyes closed, feeling the gentle tug and press as the extensions built volume and length. Dramatic but natural long, dark, fanned just enough to make every blink look sultry. When the tech finally held up the mirror, Tammy blinked slowly, stunned. Her eyes looked enormous, framed in thick, fluttery black that no mascara could ever match. Perfect for the reception desk, Alice murmured approvingly. Clients won't know where to look first. Next came the nails. Tammy's hands rested on the padded table as the tech filed her natural nails into elegant almond shapes, then layered on the ceramic gel in a glossy, deep burgundy rich, professional, but undeniably sexy. The extensions added length half an inch beyond her fingertips, making her hands look delicate, yet commanding. When the Uv lamp finished curing the top coat, Tammy flexed her fingers experimentally. The nails clicked softly together, long and pointed, impossible to ignore. Alice grinned. Typing's going to be interesting. But you'll look killer answering the phone. By 8:30 p.m, they were in the high street, bags already accumulating. First, lingerie, a discreet boutique with soft lighting and no harsh fluorescence. Alice marched Tammy straight to the fitting rooms, handing over armfuls of lace and silk. Supportive but sexy, she instructed. Padded bras for that perfect curve, high-cut thongs or boy shorts, no visible lines under minis. Tights, black, suntan, nude. Tammy disappeared behind the curtain, emerging in different combinations while Alice critiqued from the chaise outside. A black lace balconette bra and matching thong made her waist look impossibly narrow. A sheer nude set gave the illusion of bare skin under blouses. Each time she stepped out still in the day's miniskirt for reference, Alice nodded approval, adding items to the growing pile. These will hold up under skirts all day. No slipping, no bunching. Then came the main event, skirts and dresses. They hit a chain of trendy boutiques and a couple of higher-end stores. Alice was ruthless. Minis only, she reminded the sales assistant. Knee above, way above. Fitted, pleated, pencil, A-line, whatever, but short. And pairable with heels. They tried on dozens. A black leather look mini that hugged her hips like a second skin. A plaid schoolgirl-style pleated one in navy and grey scandalously short, flaring just enough to tease with movement. A tight red pencil skirt that ended mid-thigh, forcing small swaying steps. Blouses followed, silky white ones with a slight sheen. Low V-necks or button fronts left strategically open. Fitted cardigans for cooler days, but nothing to hide the legs. Heels were last and non-negotiable. Alice dragged her into a specialist shoe store. Minimum 3 inches, preferably 4. Black patents, nudes, maybe metallics, pointed toes, ankle straps for stability. Tammy tried pair after pair, finding her balance on 4-inch courts in nude patent that made her legs look endless. By closing time, the car boot was full, multiple minis, all on indecently short, lingerie sets, sheer tights in every shade, blouses, and a dozen pairs of heels ranging from 3 to 4 inches. The company card had taken a serious hit, but Alice looked triumphant. As they drove back toward the yard, Tammy still in full hostess mode, lashes fluttering, new nails gleaming under passing streetlights. Alice glanced over. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. sharp. New outfit from the pile, pick something short and killer. You'll be at the front desk, greeting clients, answering calls, filing quotes. Dad's already told the team you're the new permanent temp. Sarah's training you remotely for the first week if needed. Tammy stared at her reflection in the side mirror-long lashes, glossy burgundy nails tapping the armrest, the hem of her current skirt riding high on her thighs. I look different, she said softly, voice still breathy from practice. Alice reached over, squeezed her knee. You look like Tammy, the yard's new receptionist. And trust me, after today, no one's going to question it. They pulled into the yard lot under the security lights. Tammy stepped out carefully, new heels, clicking on concrete, mini-skirt swishing, shopping bags in hand. Tomorrow, the office awaited. Phones, clients, paperwork, and a whole new level of performance. She felt the weight of the bags, the tug of the lash extensions, the click of long nails, and a quiet, insistent thrill that this wasn't ending anytime soon. The alarm went off at 6:30 a.m. on a Friday that felt like the start of something irreversible. Tammy stood in front of the full-length mirror in the small flat above the boatyard's admin block, courtesy of Mr. Hargrove, perks of the new role, heart thudding beneath the padded lace balconette bra. She had chosen carefully from last night's haul, a fitted white silk blouse slightly sheer under the office lights, top 2 buttons undone to show just a hint of lace, a black pleated miniskirt from the new pile scandalously short, ending a good 4 inches above mid-thigh, the kind that demanded constant awareness when sitting or bending, sheer black tights, making her legs look endless, and the killer, glossy black patent 4-inch stilettos with a slim ankle strap for just enough stability. Her new lash extensions framed wide, doe-like eyes, every blink felt dramatic. The long, almond-shaped burgundy ceramic nails gleamed as she smoothed the skirt, clicked together softly when she flexed her fingers. Makeup was fresh, smoky shadow, rosy blush, that same glossy deep rose lip that made her mouth look perpetually kissable. She looked exactly like the fantasy receptionist for a luxury yacht brokerage, professional on paper, devastating in person. Alice knocked at 7:45, already in her own office-appropriate mini hers, was navy pencil, just as short. Ready for day 1, princess? Dad's expecting you at the front desk by 8. Coffee's brewing. Tammy took a steadying breath, grabbed the small handbag Alice had insisted on for your phone, lip gloss, and emergency tuck tape, and clicked down the stairs in those heels each step, a reminder of the role she was now playing full-time. The yard office was a modern glass and steel extension off the main workshop, open-plan reception area facing the entrance gate, with a sleek curved desk, 2 visitor chairs, filing cabinets along one wall, and a view of the gleaming hulls outside. Phones, computer, printer, stack of quote sheets, everything ready. Mr. Hargrove was already there, sipping coffee. He did a double take when Tammy walked in, then nodded approvingly. Morning, Tammy. You look perfect for the part. Desk's yours. Sarah left a handover doc on the desktop client database. Phone system basics. How we log inquiries. Answer calls with Hargrove Yachts. Tammy speaking, how may I help you? Smile even on the phone. They can hear it. Greet walk-ins, personally offer coffee. Get them seated. Buzz me or the sales lads. Filing, emails, basic scheduling. And he gestured vaguely at her outfit. Keep the standard. Clients notice. It works. He patted her shoulder paternal, not lingering, and disappeared into his office. Tammy settled behind the desk, crossing her legs carefully, The skirt rode up immediately. She tugged it down. The chair was ergonomic, but low. Her heels dangled slightly off the floor when she sat forward. She logged in, opened the handover dock, and felt the long nails click against the keyboard. Typing would take practice. The first call came at 8:07. She picked up the receiver, pitched her voice soft, breathy, feminine. Hargrove Yachts. Tammy speaking. How may I help you? A Swiss-accented voice, polite, wealthy. Good morning. This is Klaus Meyer. I spoke with your stand hostesses at Southampton last week. I'd like to arrange a private viewing of the 72-foot Flybridge model. Tammy's pulse jumped. She remembered him tall, silver-haired, eyes that had lingered on her legs during the VIP hour. Of course, Mr. Meyer. Let me check availability. She clicked through the calendar with careful, deliberate taps, making soft. We have next Tuesday at 11 a.m. Free. Would that suit? Excellent. And will you be there, Tammy? Your hospitality was memorable. She felt heat rise under the makeup. I'll make sure to greet you personally, sir, he chuckled. Looking forward to it. She hung up, exhaled shakily. First client booked, and already asking for her by name. The morning built from there. Walk-ins, a couple of local brokers dropping off brochures, widening when they saw her behind the desk. Legs crossed, skirt hiked, just enough to show nyloned thigh. She stood to greet them, heels, forcing a sway, offered coffee, smiled with those fluttery lashes, took messages. Every movement felt watched. At 10:15, she needed to file some signed contracts from the show. The cabinets were low, bending at the waist was inevitable. She felt the miniskirt ride up dangerously high, exposing her knickers. She straightened quickly, cheeks burning, but caught her reflection in the glass partition legs elongated by heels, skirt scandalously short, and realised the thrill outweighed the embarrassment. Lunch break came at 1 p.m. Alice poked her head in. How's it going? Busy. Everyone's friendly. Tammy flexed her fingers, the burgundy nails caught the light. Typing's a nightmare with these. Alice laughed. You'll get used to it, or you'll get faster at Hunt and Peck. Come on, quick bite in the break room. Afternoon brought more calls, more walk-ins. One Arab client referred by the Monaco man from the show arrived unannounced at 3 p.m. tall, impeccably dressed, gold watch flashing. Tammy, he said warmly, recognizing her instantly. I was told the new receptionist was exceptional. She stood, smoothed her skirt, offered her hand. Welcome. How can I help today? He held her hand a beat too long. Just browsing your inventory. But perhaps you could show me the brochure room. The brochure room was a small alcove, off reception private. Quiet. She led the way, heels clicking, aware of his gaze on her back. Inside, she bent slightly to pull a thick catalogue from the shelf, skirt riding up again. He didn't hide his appreciation. Very professional setup, he murmured. And very motivating staff. She straightened, handed him the brochure with a smile. We're here to make the process enjoyable, sir. He left with 3 appointments booked and her direct extension scribbled on his card. By 5:30 p.m., closing time, Tammy's feet throbbed. Her skirt felt permanently creased from constant adjustments, and her voice was slightly hoarse from hours of that breathy tone. But the log showed 8 new inquiries, 4 private viewings scheduled, 2 high-netter worth follow-ups. Mr. Hargrove emerged, glanced at the log, whistled low. First day and you're already outperforming Sarah's best week. Keep this up, Tammy, we might make it permanent. Alice appeared with 2 coffees. Told you. You're a natural. Tammy sank back into the chair, legs crossed, heels off for the first time all day. The long nails tapped the desk rhythmically. She looked out at the darkening yard, hulls silhouetted against the February sky. Exhausted, exposed, electrifying, and already wondering what she'd wear tomorrow, something even shorter, perhaps. Day 1, as receptionist Tammy, was over. The rest of the bit longer stretched ahead, open, uncertain, and impossibly tempting. For day 2, as the yard's receptionist, Saturday, Tammy opted for something bolder than her debut outfit, leaning into the make it permanent vibe Mr. Hargrove had hinted at. She wanted to build on yesterday's success, more confidence, more allure, same unrelenting glamour. She started with lingerie from the new hall, a black lace balconette bra with subtle push-up padding for that perfect, natural-looking curve under blouses, paired with matching high-cut lace thong, sheer barely black tights, and sexy black satin knickers. The centerpiece was a tight red pencil miniskirt from the shopping spree stretchy fabric that hugged her slim hips and narrow waist like a second skin, ending a daring 4 to 5 inches above mid-thigh. It forced smaller, more deliberate steps, the hem riding up noticeably when she sat or bent, always threatening to reveal more of her nyloned thighs than was decent. The colour popped against her pale skin, and the office's neutral tones bold, eye-catching, impossible to ignore. Over it went a crisp white silk blouse slightly translucent in bright light, fitted through the torso with a low V neckline left open to the third button, showing just enough lace edge and subtle cleavage shadow. The sleeves were rolled to 3/4 length for practicality while typing, but the fabric clung softly, accentuating every movement. Heels, 4-inch black patent stilettos with a slim ankle strap, pushing her posture into that unmistakable arched back, legs elongated sway. The heels made her calves flex with every click across the tiled reception floor, and the pointed toes added a sharp, feminine edge. Accessories stayed minimal but deliberate. The slim black choker from the show uniform, small gold hoop earrings, and that glossy deep rose lip colour refreshed with a touch more shine. Her long burgundy ceramic nails almond-shaped half-inch extensions gleamed under the desk lamp, clicking audibly against the keyboard and phone receiver. The Russian lash extensions framed her eyes in thick, fluttery drama. Every blink felt like a performance. When she stepped into the office at 7:55 a.m., Alice was already there with coffee and a low whistle. Red skirt? Bold move, princess. That thing's basically a belt. Dad's going to love it, clients too. Tammy smoothed the tight fabric over her hips, feeling it strain slightly as she moved. Figured if I'm stuck like this, might as well own it. She settled behind the curved reception desk. Crossing her legs carefully, the red skirt rode up immediately, exposing her sheer tights. She tugged it down half-heartedly, but the mirror across the room showed the full effect. Endless legs in sheer black tights, red hugging every curve, white blouse hinting at lace beneath, long burgundy nails resting on the keyboard like jewels. The first client of the day, a returning Swiss banker from the show, walked in at 8:20 and froze for a full second when he saw her. Tammy, stunning as always. That colour suits you. She smiled, lashes fluttering, voice breathy and practiced. Good morning, Mr. Meyer. Coffee while we discuss your viewing? As she stood to lead him to the brochure alcove, the pencil skirt forced a hip-swaying walk, heels clicking sharply, the hem shifting with every step. She felt his eyes follow unapologetic, appreciative. Day two's outfit wasn't subtle. It was a statement, and from the way inquiries spiked again by lunchtime, it was working exactly as intended. A few days after Tammy's second day behind the reception desk, Alice decided the padded bras, while effective, were no longer cutting it for the long haul. You're going to be doing this for weeks, maybe months, Alice announced one evening as they sat in the small flat above the yard office, takeaway boxes scattered on the coffee table. Tammy was still in her work outfit, a tight navy pencil miniskirt and a cream silk blouse, the padded bra beneath giving her a respectable but somewhat artificial C-cup swell. The clients are noticing everything. The walk-ins linger longer when you lean over the desk. We need something realer, more convincing, permanent-ish. Tammy shifted uncomfortably, long burgundy nails tapping the armrest. What do you mean realer? Alice grinned, already on her phone. Breastplate, high-end one for crossdressers, drag performers, cosplayers who want the full illusion. Silicone, seamless edges, realistic skin texture, weighted so they move naturally. I found a top-rated seller, online ships next day express. Cup, maybe D to really sell it. Dad's card can handle it, call it an office uniform upgrade. Tammy's cheeks flamed beneath the makeup. Alice, no. That's too much. I'm already... Exactly, you're already in deep. Might as well go all the way. Trust me. You'll thank me when the next Swiss banker can't take his eyes off your chest instead of questioning the invoice totals. The package arrived 2 days later, discreet brown box. No logos, heavier than expected. Alice carried it upstairs like it was Christmas morning. Tammy stood in the bedroom, still in knickers and a short robe after her shower, arms crossed tightly over the padded bra she'd worn all day. Her new lash extensions made her wide-eyed expression even more vulnerable. Strip to your knickers, Alice ordered cheerfully. Bra off too. Let's get you fitted. Tammy hesitated, then let the robe fall. The padded bra came next, revealing smooth, flat skin that suddenly felt very exposed. Alice opened the box to reveal the breastplate, a single-piece silicone torso front. Skin tone matched to Tammy's. with large, beautifully sculpted breasts full, teardrop-shaped D-cups, realistic veining and subtle areola detailing under a matte finish. The edges were thin and feathered for seamless blending, adhesive tabs, and a medical-grade skin-safe glue came in separate packets. "Arms up," Alice said, businesslike now. Tammy complied, cheeks burning, as Alice positioned the plate against her chest. The silicone was cool at first, then warmed quickly to body temperature. Alice smoothed it down from the collarbones, pressing firmly along the sides and under the bust to eliminate air pockets. She worked the glue along the feathered edges neck, shoulders, ribcage, then held pressure for the recommended 5 minutes. When she finally stepped back, both girls stared at the mirror. The transformation was immediate and shocking. Tammy now had magnificent, heavy breasts, realistic weight, pulling slightly downward, soft jiggle when she breathed, natural bounce as she shifted her weight. They sat high and proud on her slim frame, creating an hourglass silhouette that made her waist look even tinier. The cleavage was deep and inviting, the skin texture flawless under the bedroom light. Alice let out a delighted squeal, then mock glared. "Tammy, you have actual tits, minus, and you're bigger than me, you bitch!" Tammy looked down, really looked then up at her reflection. Her hands came up tentatively, cupping the new curves. They felt real, warm, soft, responsive to touch. A small movement made them sway gently. They're heavy," she whispered, voice cracking between embarrassment and awe. "D-cups will do that." Alice circled her, inspecting the seams. "Edges are perfect disappears under a blouse. No one will know unless they get hands-on, and even then," she smirked, "might not care." Tammy tried walking a few steps in just knickers and the breastplate. The weight shifted realistically, pulling her posture forward slightly, forcing that classic arched back stance that thrust them out further. Every step made them bounce softly. Alice handed her the white silk blouse from yesterday. "Try it on. Button it properly, no cheating with the top ones." Tammy slipped it on. The fabric stretched taut across her new chest, buttons straining just enough to look intentional rather than desperate. The V-neck plunged deeper now, showing creamy cleavage and the faintest shadow of areola edge if she leaned forward. The silk clung lovingly to every curve. She turned to the mirror again. Receptionist Tammy had just leveled up dramatically. Legs endless in heels, miniskirt hugging hips, and now these impossible, perfect breasts dominating the silhouette. Alice stood behind her, hands on Tammy's shoulders, meeting her eyes in the reflection. "Tomorrow morning, you walk into that office like this. No padding, no excuses. Own it. The clients are going to lose their minds, and Dad's going to see the inquiries double again." Tammy swallowed, feeling the unfamiliar weight with every breath. Embarrassment still burned, but underneath it something hotter, more confident, more dangerous. She smoothed the blouse over her new curves, watching them move under her palms. "Okay," she said softly, voice breathy as always. "Let's see what tomorrow brings." Alice grinned wickedly. Tomorrow brings chaos, princess, the good kind. The morning of Tammy's first full day, with the new breastplate, dawned cool and clear. She woke earlier than usual, the unfamiliar weight on her chest already a constant reminder, even before she opened her eyes. The silicone felt warm now, molded perfectly to her body, after a night of careful sleeping on her back, Alice's strict instruction. No rolling over and messing up the edges. Every breath made the full D-cup curves rise and fall realistically, pulling gently at her posture. In front of the mirror, Tammy stared for a long minute. The breastplate had transformed her silhouette overnight. Narrow waist cinched by the garter belt, hips slim, and now these heavy teardrop-shaped breasts that dominated the view soft, jiggling subtly with movement, skin texture blending seamlessly at the collarbones and ribs. No visible seams, no artificial stiffness. They looked and felt utterly natural. She chose her outfit deliberately to test and embrace the change. A sheer white silk blouse won from the shopping hall, fitted, but not tight enough to strain the buttons. Yet, she left the top 3 undone, creating a deep V that showcased generous cleavage framed by lace from the black balconette bra beneath worn for extra support, and to hide any faint edge if she leaned far forward. Paired with it, a charcoal grey pleated miniskirt short, flirty, ending well above mid-thigh, the pleats flaring slightly with every step to draw eyes downward, then inevitably back up. Sheer nude tights today, for a softer, more elegant look. and 4-inch black patent stilettos with pointed toes and slim ankle straps higher to accentuate the leg line and force that arched back posture that thrust her new assets forward. Long burgundy ceramic nails, fluttery lash extensions, glossy rose lips, slim choker, hair loose in dark waves. When she stepped into the reception area at 7:55 a.m., Alice was waiting with 2 coffees and an immediate, delighted gasp. "Oh my God, look at you!" Alice circled her slowly, eyes wide. "Those aren't just boobs, they're weapons. The way they move when you walk, lethal. And that blouse? You're one deep breath away from a wardrobe malfunction. Perfect." Tammy flushed, hands instinctively coming up to adjust the open neckline only, making the cleavage deepen as the silk shifted over soft silicone. "They feel so real, heavy. Every time I move, they bounce a little. I keep thinking everyone's going to know." Alice smirked. "They won't. They'll just think the new receptionist is stacked and stunning. Sit down, let's see how it looks at the desk." Tammy eased into the ergonomic chair behind the curved reception desk. The weight settled forward as she leaned in to log on. The blouse gaped slightly, offering a teasing view down the deep valley between her breasts. Crossing her legs made the miniskirt ride up, nyloned thighs exposed. She tugged it down, but the motion caused a soft, natural jiggle that drew her own eyes downward in fascination. The first call rang at 8:05. "Hargrove Yachts. Tammy speaking, how may I help you?" Her voice came out breathier than intended, the new weight subtly changing her breathing pattern. A familiar Swiss voice, Klaus Meyer again. "Tammy, good morning. I wanted to confirm Tuesday's viewing, and perhaps add a +1. A colleague, who's very interested in personalized service." She felt the heat rise. "Of course, Mr. Meyer. I'll note that. We'll make sure everything is welcoming," he chuckled. "I'm counting on it. You've been quite the incentive." She hung up, pulse racing. The phone felt heavier in her manicured hand, or maybe that was just the adrenaline. Walk-ins started arriving by 9 a.m. First, a local marine surveyor dropping off paperwork. His eyes flicked immediately to her chest when she stood to greet him, lingering a beat too long before snapping back to her face. Morning. These forms for Mr. Hargrove?" Tammy smiled, lashes fluttering, handing them over with a gentle lean forward that made the silk strain and the cleavage deepen. "I'll get them to him right away. Coffee while you wait?" He accepted, gaze drifting south again as she turned to the coffee station, hips swaying in the short skirt, breasts bouncing softly with each step. By mid-morning, the pattern was clear. Every client, every delivery driver, every sales rep from partner companies, they all noticed. Eyes widened on entry, conversations stretched longer than necessary, compliments slipped in. "You must get a lot of attention behind that desk," for all the right reasons. Tammy felt exposed, vulnerable, but also strangely powerful. The weight of her new breasts shifted with every gesture, leaning over the desk to point at a brochure, reaching up to file a folder, ping, skirt redding, standing to escort someone to the brochure alcove, heels clicking, curves bouncing. At one point, bending to retrieve a dropped pen from under the desk, the miniskirt hiked dangerously high, knickers fully visible, breasts hanging forward heavily in the open blouse. She straightened quickly, cheeks burning, but caught the reflection in the glass partition. Endless legs, short skirt, magnificent cleavage. It looked intentional, seductive, effective. Alice poked her head in during a lull around noon. "How's it feeling?" "Like everyone's staring at my chest instead of the boats," Tammy admitted, voice small. But her lips curved slightly. "And it's working. Inquiries are up again. 3 new private viewings booked this morning alone." Alice laughed. "Told you, those tits are closing deals. Just don't lean too far forward during the next Arab client's visit he might sign for the whole fleet." Tammy sat back, crossing her arms under her breasts, which only pushed them up higher, creating even more dramatic cleavage. She felt the soft give of silicone against her forearms, warm, real. By closing time at 5:30 p.m, her feet ached in the 4-inch heels, her back was tired from the constant adjustment to the new center of gravity, and her blouse was slightly rumpled from hours of subtle tugs and adjustments. But the log showed record numbers: 9 inquiries, 5 viewings scheduled, 2 verbal commitments pending paperwork. Mr. Hargrove emerged, glanced at the stats, then at Tammy, eyes flicking briefly to her enhanced silhouette before meeting her gaze with a nod. "Outstanding first day with the upgrade. Keep it up, Tammy." You're becoming indispensable. As Alice helped her lock up, linking arms, Tammy felt the familiar bounce with each step down the corridor. Exhausted, overwhelmed, undeniably thrilled. The breastplate wasn't coming off tonight or any night soon. Tammy was all in now, and the yard office had never felt more electric. After a week of relentless flirting from across the invisible line between the two yacht stands, Jake's lingering stares, Max's casual coffee deliveries, Liam's quiet, intense offers to help with the stairs, Alice finally cracked. It was late Friday afternoon, the yard office quiet after closing. Tammy was behind the reception desk in her signature short-pleated skirt and a fitted cream blouse that strained noticeably over the breastplate's magnificent D-cup curves. The top buttons undone just enough to show creamy cleavage that had become the office's unofficial attraction. Jake sauntered in one last time, ostensibly to borrow a brochure, but his eyes were fixed on Tammy's chest as she leaned forward to hand it over. "Come on, ladies," he said, grin slow and confident. "You've been dodging us all week. Double date tomorrow night. Neutral, ground-nice Italian place in town. Then drinks at that rooftop bar with the view. No boats, no sales pitches, just 4 people having fun." Alice, perched on the edge of the desk in her own Mini, exchanged a long look with Tammy. Tammy's long burgundy nails tapped nervously on the keyboard, her fluttery lashes lowered as she felt the familiar heat rise. Alice sighed theatrically. "Fine. One night. But if any of you get handsy, we'll behave," Jake promised, though his eyes said otherwise. Scout's honor. He left with a wink, and the door clicked shut. Alice turned to Tammy immediately. "We're doing this. You've been killing it all week time to take the show off the desk and into the real world." Tammy swallowed. "Alice, what if they won't clock you? Not with the plate, not with your voice, not with how natural you've become. And if they do, we'll laugh it off as a wild story later. But honestly, they're too busy staring at your tits to think straight." The next morning, Saturday, Alice dragged Tammy shopping again. First stop, a lingerie boutique. "You need something that shows them off properly," Alice declared, marching straight to the push-up bra section. "The breastplate is magic, but we want maximum impact tonight." She selected a black Wonder Bra Classic push-up style with lace overlay, thick padded cups designed to create dramatic cleavage and lift even the heaviest breasts. The tag promised up to 2 cup sizes of enhancement, but with Tammy's already impressive D-cup silicone curves, it was going to be explosive. Back at the flat, Alice supervised the fitting like a general. "Off with the balconette. Let's see how this works with the plate." Tammy stripped to her tights and panties, cheeks flaming as she stood in front of the mirror. The breastplate's full, teardrop-shaped breasts hung naturally, soft and heavy. Alice helped slide the Wonder Bra straps over her shoulders, then hooked it in the back. The thick padding compressed and lifted the silicone curves upward and inward, creating a deep, gravity-defying cleavage that looked almost cartoonishly perfect round, high, and impossibly full. The black lace framed the creamy tops, the plunge center dipping low enough to show the shadowed valley between. Tammy stared at her reflection, mouth open. "Jesus," she whispered. Alice stepped back, eyes wide. "Tammy, you have porn star tits now. That Wonder Bra is working overtime. Look at that cleavage, it's criminal." The bra made every breath push the breasts higher, the lace edges teasing the very limit of exposure. When Tammy moved, they bounced with exaggerated, hypnotic motion far more dramatically than before. For the outfit, Alice had already picked from their earlier hauls. A slinky black bodycon mini dress stretchy jersey fabric that clung to every curve, short enough that the hem barely skimmed mid-thigh, low-cut square neckline, designed to showcase cleavage, paired with sheer black glossy tights and strappy 4-inch black stilettos with thin ankle straps. Hair down in loose waves, makeup amped up smoky eyes, bolder blush, extra glossy lips. When Tammy stepped into the full look and turned, the dress molded to her enhanced hourglass, tiny waist, flared hips, and those Wonder Bra boosted breasts dominating the front, threatening to spill over the low neckline with every step. Alice whistled low. "They're going to forget their own names. You ready for this?" Tammy smoothed the dress over her hips, feeling the heavy bounce with the motion. Her voice came out soft, breathy. "I think so." Terrified, but yeah. The double date met at the Italian restaurant at 8 p.m. Jake, Max, and Liam were already at the table-sharp blazers, no ties, looking every inch the successful yacht salesman off duty. When Alice and Tammy walked in, the 3 men stood as one. Conversation died, eyes locked. Jake recovered first, voice low. Holy, you two are trying to kill us. Max stared openly at Tammy's chest. That dress, those, wow. Liam just swallowed hard, gaze flicking from her face to the deep cleavage and back. They sat. Tammy slid into the booth beside Jake, the short dress riding up her thighs as she crossed her legs. The Wanderer kept her breasts pushed high and forward. Every time she reached for her wine glass or laughed at a joke, they jiggled noticeably, drawing every eye at the table. The evening unfolded in a haze of flirtation and tension. Compliments flowed on the dress, the legs, but mostly on how incredible you look tonight, Tammy. Hands brushed accidentally under the table, knees touched. Jake's arm draped casually along the back of the booth, fingers occasionally grazing her bare shoulder. Max kept finding excuses to lean in close when talking, eyes dipping south. Liam was quieter, but his stare was intense, appreciative. At the rooftop bar afterward, the night air cool on exposed skin, Tammy felt the full weight of the attention. Standing at the railing with a cocktail in hand, the city lights below, her mini dress clinging, Wanderer cleavage on full display, Jake stepped up behind her, close enough that she felt his warmth. You know, he murmured against her ear, "You're dangerous in that dress." Tammy turned slightly, breasts brushing his chest. She met his eyes, lashes fluttering. Good, that's the idea. Across the bar, Alice caught her eye and raised her glass in a silent toast, half proud, half mischievous. The night stretched on laughter, dancing, close, hands on waists and lower backs, more drinks, more lingering touches. By the time they said goodnight in the car park, promises of next time hanging in the air, Tammy's heart was racing, body buzzing with adrenaline and something hotter. In the car with Alice, heading back to the yard flat, Tammy exhaled shakily. That was intense. Alice grinned, glancing at her enhanced cleavage still proudly on display. Told you the Wanderer was a game changer. You owned it, princess. And they were putty. Tammy looked down at herself, the deep valley, the lace, the way the dress hugged every curve. She smiled small, secret, thrilled. Yeah, she said softly. I think I did. A couple of weeks had passed since the first double date, and the flirtation from across the yacht stands had quietly evolved into something more regular. Jake and Alice had been seeing each other properly for a while. He'd asked her out officially after that rooftop night, and she'd said yes with her usual teasing grin. That left Liam quiet, tattooed, intense Liam with Tammy. The second outing was simpler. Dinner at a cozy harbourside pub, then drinks at a quiet cocktail bar overlooking the water. No big rooftop spectacle this time, just the four of them. Laughter easier, touches less tentative. Alice and Jake were openly affectionate now, hands linked. Quick kisses when they thought no one was looking. Tammy and Liam sat closer on the banquette, knees brushing under the table, his arm eventually resting along the back of the seat behind her. Tammy felt every second of it. The Wanderer was back Alice's insistence. You know what it does to them. Lifting her breastplate's D-cup curves into dramatic, lace-framed cleavage that the low-cut emerald green mini dress showcased shamelessly. The dress was tight, stretchy jersey, ending high on her thighs. Sheer black tights and strappy black stilettos completed the look. Her long burgundy nails caught the candlelight every time she reached for her drink. Her glossy lips left faint rose marks on the rim of her glass. Liam barely took his eyes off her. He was quieter than Jake and Max, but the way he watched dark eyes tracing her mouth, her cleavage, the way her legs crossed and uncrossed, made her pulse race. Conversation flowed. Boats, the yard, weekend plans. But underneath, tension built like a slow tide. By 11 p.m, Alice and Jake were ready to call it a night. We're heading back, Alice said, standing and linking her arm through Jake's. She shot Tammy a knowing look, half protective, half encouraging. You two okay to sort yourselves? Tammy nodded, voice breathy. Yeah. Liam's driving me. Liam's car, a sleek black Audi, was parked in the lot behind the pub. The night air was cool off the water. Tammy shivered slightly as they walked, the short dress offering little warmth. Liam shrugged off his jacket and draped it over her shoulders, without a word. It smelled like him. Clean cologne, faint sea salt, engine oil from the yard. He opened the passenger door for her. She slid in carefully mini dress, riding up her thighs, cleavage deepening as she settled. Liam got behind the wheel, started the engine, but didn't pull out right away. Instead, he turned to her in the dim glow of the dashboard lights. You've been killing me all night, he said quietly, voice rougher than usual. Tammy met his gaze, lashes fluttering. Good. He leaned in, slowly giving her time to pull away if she wanted. She didn't. Their lips met softly at first. Tentative. Testing. Then, deeper. His hand came up to cup her cheek. Hers slid to the back of his neck, fingers threading into his short, dark hair. The kiss turned hungry, fast tongues brushing, breaths mingling, the faint taste of whiskey on his lips. Tammy felt the heavy bounce of her enhanced breasts as she shifted closer, the Wonderbra keeping them pushed high and firm against his chest when she leaned over the center console. Liam's free hand found her waist, then slid lower to her thigh-warm palm on her nyloned leg. She gasped softly into his mouth. He took it as invitation, fingers tracing the lace edge of her knickers, but not pushing further. Respectful, even in heat. They broke for air once, twice foreheads resting together, breathing hard. God, Tammy, he murmured against her lips. You're incredible. She smiled small, breathless, glossy lips swollen. Keep kissing me like that, and I'll believe you. He did. The windows began to fog slightly. The quiet lane they'd pulled into, Arrow Service Road behind the pub, shadowed by trees, felt miles from anywhere. Tammy's heart hammered fear flickering at the edges. The tuck, the secret. What if his hand wandered too far, but drowned out by the rush? The way he kissed her like she was exactly who she presented. Beautiful, desired, real. Eventually they slowed, pulling back just enough to look at each other. Liam's thumb brushed her lower lip. I don't want to rush you. Tammy exhaled shakily, still tasting him. Me neither. But this was good. Very good. He started the car properly then, easing back onto the road toward the yard. Tammy sank into the seat, jacket still around her shoulders, legs pressed together to hide the tremble. Her mind raced exhilaration, terror, a deep, confusing want. He kissed me, and I kissed back, and it felt right. When they reached the yard lot, Liam parked under the security light and turned to her again. Tomorrow? He asked simply. She nodded, leaning in for one last, soft kiss, gentler this time. Tomorrow. He watched her walk to the flat door heels clicking, mini dress swaying, his jacket still draped over her like a claim. Only when the door closed behind her did he drive away. Inside, Tammy leaned against the wall, fingers touching her lips, chest rising and falling under the Wonderbra's firm lift. Alice was waiting in the living room with a knowing smirk and 2 glasses of wine. Well? Tammy smiled slow, dazed, a little scared. We snogged. In his car, like teenagers. Alice laughed delightedly, handing her a glass. And I liked it. A lot. Alice raised her glass. To Tammy. Officially in deep now. Tammy clinked, took a sip, and felt the warmth spread. Deep didn't even begin to cover it. It was exactly 1 month, inescapable. Tammy sat at the small vanity in the flat above the yard office, the morning light slanting through half-closed blinds and catching on the black lace balconette bra that cradled her firmly attached breastplate. The silicone D-cup curves rose and fell with each slow breath, heavy and warm against her ribcage, no longer a novelty, but part of her body, now glued with medical adhesive that only came off with solvent and hours of careful work. She had stopped removing it every night weeks ago, the edges blended too perfectly, the weight too familiar. Taking it off felt like shedding skin she no longer wanted to lose. She wore only the bra, matching black lace thong, sheer nude tights and black satin knickers, the ritual underlayers before the day's armour. Her long burgundy ceramic nails clicked softly against the glass pot of foundation as she dabbed it along her jawline, blending with practice strokes. The Russian lash extensions framed her eyes in thick, dark fans. She tilted her head, brushing on smoky shadow, then lining the waterline with kohl until her gaze looked sultry, even without trying. In the mirror, Tammy studied the woman staring back glossy rose lips half-painted, dark waves tumbling over bare shoulders, magnificent cleavage spilling forward as she leaned closer to the glass. No trace of the boy who once polished chrome railings in baggy overalls. 1 month. The thought landed softly, almost tenderly. She remembered the morning of the show so clearly it still made her stomach twist. Her boss's sharp "you're up," Alice's delighted squeal, the curtained changing area smelling of perfume and panic. Tom Small, slim, protesting weakly as the miniskirt was tugged up his smooth legs, the padded bra clipped on, the heels forced onto feet that had never worn anything higher than work boots. The terror when Alice spun her to the mirror and said, "You're hotter than the model was going to be." She had expected it to end at sunset. A laugh, a story to tell mates at the pub. back to overalls on Monday. Instead, it grew. The boss's nod of approval, the flood of inquiries, Alice's relentless shopping trips, the breastplate arriving in its discreet box, Alice's teasing Tammy, "You have actual tits and you're bigger than me, you bitch." The Wonderbra nights, the double dates, Liam's mouth on hers in the fogged-up car, his hand warm on her thigh, and his promise of tomorrow that kept coming true. Tammy paused with the lipstick wand hovering at her lower lip. A small, shaky exhale escaped her. She wasn't Tom anymore, not really. Not in any way that mattered day to day. Tom had been quiet, invisible, competent, but unseen. Tammy was seen, constantly. Clients lingered at the desk longer than necessary, eyes tracing her legs, her cleavage, her smile. Liam looked at her like she was the only thing in the room worth watching. Even Alice fierce, protective Alice watched her with something close to pride. But the permanence scared her as much as it thrilled her. The breastplate was glued on for days at a time now. Showers were careful, sleeping on her back habitual. The faint tug when she moved a constant reminder, this is you 24/7. No going back to baggy tees and flat chests, without effort, without questions, without explaining why the temp receptionist suddenly had no curves. The tuck tape, the voice exercises, the sway in her walker, they were muscle memory. If she tried to be Tom again, the body would betray her. Softer posture, higher voice, habits that lingered like perfume on skin. She finished the lipstick slow swipe, press lips together, blot. The glossy rose made her mouth look bee-stung, inviting. She stood, smoothing her hands down her sides, feeling the lace against her hips, the weight of her breasts shifting realistically with the motion. How far I've come, she thought, not without a pang. From the boy ordered into a skirt as a one-day emergency, trembling in 4-inch heels while Arab and Swiss businessmen stared, to this, the yard's indispensable receptionist, closing deals with a smile and a lean forward, falling asleep with Liam's last text, "Can't stop thinking about you," still glowing on her phone. She reached for the charcoal grey-pleated miniskirt hanging on the wardrobe door, the one Alice had picked last week, short enough to make them forget their own names. Stepped into it, zipped it up, felt the fabric hug her hips and end scandalously high on her thighs. Then, the white silk blouse top 3 buttons undone, to frame the deep cleavage the Wonderbra would push even higher once she hooked it over the plate. 4-inch black patent stilettos waited by the bed. Tammy slipped them on, stood tall, adjusted her hair. The mirror showed a woman who belonged here, confident, glamorous, desired. But inside, a small voice still whispered, what happens when the month becomes a year? When the secret isn't a secret anymore? When Liam wants more than kisses in a car? She pushed it down, smiled at her reflection practice for the clients who would soon arrive, one day at a time. She grabbed her handbag and the slim choker necklace and headed downstairs to the reception desk heels, clicking on the stairs like a metronome counting forward, always forward, into whatever came next.